Alright guys, we're back again in this video. I'm going to show you how to do 2.4 liter valve cover, same as K20, K24, 2002, 2006 CRV, and a lot of other cars too. We'll see you guys soon. So in order to do this job, you're gonna need Honda Bond high temperature gasket maker, a couple of mirrors, look around, and this is the kit. Comes with the all the new rubbers, everything. So 4 of these, 6 of these, 1 of those. Alright you guys, so you're gonna begin by taking off the air box bolts, just all the way around the air box. It's like 5 bolts or something like that. Just take your time and be careful. There's also 3 bolts holding the entire box down. As you see me doing here, use your finger to pull them up so you don't snap them off in the box. Next you're going to remove the clamps on the hose. Really take your time here. So as you guys can see, it doesn't always work out. Sometimes the plastic is too hard. I broke the air box. Now I gotta replace this whole top piece. Anyway, so I broke that. So next you want to take off the clamps, start loosening all your spaghetti clamps. Pull this hose off the valve cover just like that. Next you want to go ahead and take off this beauty cover, 2 10mm bolts like we always do. You know how that one goes. Just put that aside. Very easy. Then we're going to go ahead and start pulling off the 10mm bolts that hold on the cover for your coils. You know, I was taking mine off, and you guys will see in a second 2 of them came off with the plastic cover and the nuts underneath it, but it's all good. We'll just deal with that later. So next what I'm gonna go ahead and do is, I like to always mark my coils. It's not necessary at all, especially with these crappy coils I got in, but for now we'll just leave it at that and we'll mark them up. The way I do it is I go from driver's side to passenger side, starting at 1, even though I think it's the opposite, but whatever. And then that's just how I remember it. And then you're just gonna go ahead, play around and start pulling all these coils out, unplugging the electrical clips from them and just maneuvering them out whatever way that looks like for you. You're gonna have to take out them 10mm bolts like you see me do right here, and that's it. You just work your way along until you got them all out, and try not to get shit in the hole. So and after we're done that, we got all the coils out, we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna move to this power steering a hose here, and we're just gonna pull that 10mm off and kind of just push it out of the way as much as we can. Yeah, just take your time with it. You don't want to drop this bolt in the engine bay, and then you're gonna have to go fishing after, you know. And there's the bolt right there. So after we're done that, we're gonna start taking off this wiring harness. Remember, there's these 2 washer little shits on top of the 2 bolts that you pulled off. Don't let them fall off. I didn't show it in the video, but make sure you remove those off the top of the wiring harness because they seat in the top, and put them aside. So after that, we're going to move along to these cables here, throttle cables or whatever, and we're just going to slip them out of the housing and just kind of like let them hang for a minute, you know. Now don't forget, just like all the other rubber parts on the cars, these things all get old and brittle, so you want to take your time and just wiggle them out, you know, just so they come free. And again, what I like to do, I put a little bit of electrical tape on the bottom one here, that way I know which one seats underneath the other one. So then after that, what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead, tie your wire harness back, tie all the shit out of the way. You want to get the cables out of the way, everything you want to get out of the way so you can pull this cover off as best you can. Now you can see me start to tie up the hose that was connected to the valve cover there. Just pull that away too. Now we're going to go ahead and start removing all these grommets and bolts, and there's the oil dipstick. We'll take that out. So a bunch of 10 millimeters, just gonna go ahead and blow them all off as you see me do here. They're in kind of like weird spots on the valve cover, so you're just gonna have to work your way around, take your time like you always do. And then we're gonna go ahead and take like a flathead or some shit, and then I use my clip puller and I just started pulling all the grommets and or whatever the fuck you want to call them, the rubber things off that are underneath the bolts. You just work your way and pull them all off. Here's an example one I got off here, just to show you guys. I'm not going to keep the camera running and show you all of them. So yeah, you just pry them up, work them off, and work your way around the whole cover, so that way they all come off like that. It's just me showing you the placement. Just took this clip quick to show you guys the oil in there. Now for one of the slowest processes here, we really got to take your time. We're starting to pry up this valve cover now, so you can see I custom made a wedge there, just shaved the one end down, and I got my clip puller, and that's basically all you need. You're just gonna take your time, find all the angles, and sort of slip this thing in there and start working the cover up by twisting back and forth slowly. You don't want to damage the aluminum anywhere. You would just really want to take your time with it, you know, and it will come up eventually, even though when you're doing it maybe it doesn't seem like anything's moving, but that's why you got to go slow and take your time. So what ended up happening is I'm trying to maneuver it out. Obviously I don't have enough space, the hose is in the way. So and also this cross member bar, you'll see me start taking it out right now because I can't get this valve cover out. It's just 4 bolts and or 4 nuts and 2 bolts in the firewall. So there's the first 2, and then there's another 2 on the opposite side, and then there's 2 in the firewall. I'll show you in a second. You want to get all of them out, put them aside, and you'll be able to get the valve cover off. Another thing you won't see me do is I actually took the cover off. I actually had to get on top of the engine bay and pull the cover out, so you won't see me do it in the video, but right here you'll see it off. So now just what I'm explaining after I get it off, you want to really pull up on this power steering hose and on all these crossbars to get it out. I'm telling you about the bolts that I already told you. And yeah, you're just gonna, it's really tight though, really tight. Like I said, I had to leverage getting up over the top. So there's the old valve cover. We just got it off. I pulled out some of the rings, or they actually stuck on still in the holes there, and we're just gonna pull the old ones out. They're pretty brittle. They were done, man, so it had to be replaced. And there's actually one final one stuck in the cover that I can't get out, and actually was hell to get out. I finally got it out though. That's what's left of it after I ripped the shit out of it. I had to use some heat and stuff, you know me. And now we're just gonna take our little pick here, and we're gonna start pulling out this valve cover gasket all the way around it. This one was done too, like pretty brittle. And there was oil leaking everywhere under this thing, so had to been taken out, had to been changed, you know. So now after that, you can see I've already cleaned this valve cover pretty well over the last couple of days. I was just resting. Now what you'll see me do is I'm just finally cleaning out this seam with brake cleaner, and the way I do it is I spray this whole seam. You want to make sure there's no crumbs or nothing left in that. You want a nice tight clean seal. So we're going to go ahead with our sock here, and we're just going to pinch the tip of the sock, and we just want it to fit in that little crevice around the valve cover. So we're going to do a little, and then once it gets dirty we pull it back out and we switch the sock to a clean spot, and we go back and we just keep repeating this process all the way around. You want to make sure there's no dirt, no shit, nothing in that little seam there, or else you're going to get a shitty seal. And again, we're just going to take our time here, just really double check everything, make sure we got in there good, you know. And so now we're moving on. We got our new kit here. We're going to take out our new seal and start fitting it into the housing here. Right around, you know, it just sits in there nice. It even comes with tabs, so you really can't mess it up. And yeah, you just again go around, put it in, make sure it's all seated. If there's any more wetness, you left any brake clean in there, get that out of there. If there's any dirt in there, get it out of there now while you still got the chance. And double check it's nicely seated. Go around like I'm doing here. So then after we're done that, we're going to go ahead and take our the other ones for the spark plugs there. I don't know all the names today, guys. I don't give a shit. And then so we're going to put them in the housing there and just finger press them in. It wasn't as easy as I thought to put these ones in for some reason. So you guys want to take one of the old ones and you want to sit it upside down, or sit it the same way over top of the new one, and you're just gonna hammer it in lightly. And this might take a long time for you. You're gonna have to go around and tap at all of them and make sure they're all seated correctly. This is a process you also don't want to rush either. Not only because you don't want to slip and bend the housing if you're using a hammer like I am, but you know, you want to make sure you do it right there. And that's it. So we'll finish up on this last one here. And now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to take another sock and we're going to start cleaning around the valve gasket all the way around where the old one was. Get all the crap off. I've already done this, but because I left the car sitting with the top open, there's been oil that's kind of like seeped out the back a little bit. So I'm just cleaning it, making sure it's really nice and clean. You want that surface spotless before you put this valve cover back on with your new HT gasket. If you need to use a razor blade, use it. So then after that, I realized there was just no way to get this cover over this power steering hose, so it's got to come off. And you're gonna get a little bit of leak when you pull this one off, but you know, don't be too concerned. Just do it quickly and hold it to the sky so it's not dripping all over the place. So you can see I've just pulled it off there, and now I'm just tie strapping it to my windshield wiper, get it out of the way. And that's all you got to do, basically, just like that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cover the tips of both of on the housing and on the hose, that way no debris and shit gets in when I'm working here. And there you go, just like that. It doesn't usually stay for too long anyways because it's fluid, but you just kind of sit it over. So now all I'm doing here is taking the lightest little touch of oil and putting it around these rings. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I just find it slides over the spark plug, you know, housing section easier when you put it in. Then I'm just taking more off with the clean finger, so there's really barely anything on those rubber seals there. And then I'm taking my brake cleaner, and again, one final wipe of that oil, because once we do this, we've done it, you know, and I'm not going backwards. So double checking out one more time, another clean sock, and then here we go. We're gonna take our HT gasket former. We've shaken it up a bit and moved it, the container, and mixed it all, and we're just gonna put some in the back seal. There's four spots you want to put it, and it's on either end. So on the cam lobes and by the timing chain there. But I'm saying on the other side here, you'll see about a half a pea size to a pea size of HT you want to put. And that's just what I'm doing right here. I'm going to try and include a picture. Maybe I can show you what it looks like, the spots a little bit better. But it's just the seam where everything meets. And there's 4 of them. So after you've done that, we're going to come in here with our valve cover, and we're just going to really just slowly fit it around here and make sure it's seated over those the spark plug holes and everything correctly. And we're just going to see how nicely that just sits in there. Beautiful. And then we're just going to take our finger and put those rubber seals over, like I said, the spark plug housing there, and just lightly push it down so that the cover seats. And that's all I'm doing here. That's why I put that little tiny bit of barely anything of oil or whatever around those rubber seals, just so it wasn't grabbing as much. So now you can see it just pop right into place there, and that's right on there now. That's seated nice. So now we're going to take our mirror, we're going to go around, and we're just going to make sure that that gasket is on there nice. Make sure the HT is sitting nice too, you know, that gasket former. And we're just going to work our way around with our light and just really double check all that shit, as you see me doing. So then once you're 100% on your gasket, then you're just gonna go around and put the new I call them grommets, but you know, put the new rubber seals on the top of the cover, and then the new metal washer things, whatever you want to call them. Then we're putting our acorn nuts on the top of that, and there's 6 of them, and this is a really slow process too. You're just gonna work crisscross for quite a while if you're not using a torque. Even though I kind of did use a torque, I never really trust them, so I just go back and forth and really take my time and do one by one. I guess because I started without a torque wrench, I kind of do a lot of things like that, but you can see me pop in here with the torque real quick. Just threw that in the video to show you I used the torque wrench. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and put this power steering hose back on once you know that your cover is nice seated, everything's torqued out. And you're just going to put it underneath those cables. Put it right back in the house, or over top of the cables. Put it right back in the housing. Get your bolts on there and snug them in for now. Just like that. And you'll see me come in here with my my regular 10 and just finish off the job by feel. Just like that. We want to make sure that those are in there correctly. So once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and start putting our cables back in the slots again. This is why I told you to put the black tape on the one. That way you know where it sits. Alright you guys, Mr. SFM, I'm back. I was out a couple of days. Where I left off the other day, I had snapped my airbox, so I had to go pull the part. My mistake, it was that took a whole day just to go get that part, and we'll go ahead and start finishing it off, so stay tuned. So now I'm just back to fiddling with the coils again. I'm really not impressed with these coils. They're like real cheap Chinese ones, but anyway, so you put the coils in, then we're gonna go ahead and take our wiring harness off the bungee. We can start taking all this shit off now, and then we're just gonna maneuver it over and put it back in the housing over those 2 studs, as you see, and it kind of clicks in once you get it, so you know it's in. Don't forget to put those washers over the top, and also your 2 acorn nuts to hold the wiring harness in. I forgot to show it. We're going to go ahead and start fiddling around, like I said, with all these coils, and just, you know, put them in however that looks for you. But sometimes you got to pull one up to get the electrical in, and then sometimes, you know, you just got to work your way around them until you get them all in. They can be annoying sometimes, so that's exactly what I'm doing here. And yeah, just putting them all back in the hole, you know, and we'll just move our way around. So yeah, it's just a bunch of fiddling really, and then you get all your 10mm bolts in, stick them in. One of mine is still stuck in my plastic cover, so you can see it right there. That's the one. But that bolt is just not coming out. I tried everything, so I'm gonna have to go and cut it out and go get a new one and pull a new one again. But for now, it's okay. So yeah, you just want to go ahead and tighten up all the acorn nuts and shit on your plastic coil cover here, and then you put your dipstick back in, like I'm doing right here. And then after that, we're gonna go ahead and oh, that's just the last acorn nuts I'm putting on the top there. And then we're gonna cut our tie straps here and just get it ready for when I get that air box. So once that's ready, after that we're gonna go ahead and take our 4 nuts for this crossbar thing that we pulled off here. So we're gonna snug all the bolts up. Just pull it if you need to and line it up. It might take you a little bit, but you can see where the old holes are, like how it was lined up when you took it off. And then you're gonna put the full, like I said, the 4 nuts on. This is me just finishing it off. Now you can see the 4 nuts and then the 2 bolts that go into the firewall. And again, I'm just finishing it up here, those 2 on that side, on the far side, double checking. And then again, double checking on this side. Just making sure those 2 12mm, I believe, are just in, and then the 2 12mm that are in the firewall, we're just going to go ahead and snug those down as well. These ones are pretty hard to reach and see, so just take your time with it. These ones are easy to strip the heads because they get rusty, so yeah, really just take your time. So next we're going to go ahead and put this power steering hose and back on the housing of the valve cover with your I believe it's a 10mm, and we'll just snug that in there. Then we're gonna go ahead and get our beauty cover and slap that on real quick. You know all about that thing. And then what you're gonna see next is me really quickly slap this air box on. But I'm telling you, it was the hardest thing to get this air box on. See this little clip I'm playing with here? I had to put grease under that. I had to put WD-40 under that. I had to put everything. It took me like 2 hours just to get this one fucking rubber hose on. Anyway, whatever, that's done. So next you want to go in and get these air box bolts put back on, doing them by hand because they break, man, I'm telling you. Again, you don't see me do it, but there's 3 big bolts holding the entire box down. Don't forget to put them in. So you just want to take your time and really just hand tighten these things in. I even use some what do you call that shit? Fucking grease or whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know, guys. I had a fucking brain fart, but it's the shit that doesn't make your bolts stick, you know what I'm saying? And just put some of that on the end of it if you want. Totally up to you. And then we're just gonna move ahead. I just put the plastic cap back on the crossbar, and that's it, you're done. Alright, you guys. That's gonna wrap up that video for the CRV or K24 valve cover. I'm actually just gonna let it I'm gonna let it sit for a day and just let that gasket form nicely. Even I make mistakes. I snapped the air box. I had to go get a new air box. Doesn't always work out. I guess it was just too brittle and it snapped on the nipple, but yeah, so that's gonna be it, and hope you guys enjoyed, and now you know how to do it, Mr. SFM. So yeah, all that's left to do now, guys, is start it up. See me do that right now. Hope that helped you guys out. That's gonna do it for this video, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.